What's up, everybody? Once again, this is Terrence Warren, aka the Cisco Tutor Guy, and right now I'm going to take a break from my CCNA lab series and go over something more trivial, okay? Which is the OSI model, something very basic that's in networking, something that everybody in networking needs to know. So the OSI model consists of 7 layers. Now, when I was in school and learning this thing, there was an acronym that I was taught so that I could always remember the layers and the steps of the OSI model. That acronym was Programmers Don't Never Throw Sausage Pizza Away. Each letter corresponds with the beginning of that layer's name. So that was how I learned to memorize and remember the 7 layer protocols, right? But that was a long time ago, and we're in the new millennium. So now I have a new acronym that I want to teach you guys, something more relevant to the times. Okay, here it is. P. Diddy needs to stop producing albums, especially now, right? But anyway, each letter corresponds to a layer of the OSI model. So let's break it down. All right. So we're gonna start with the P in P Diddy. P corresponds to layer 1, which is the physical layer. The physical layer is the layer where everything kind of starts, where all the cables are connected. Um, all the physical devices are connected at this layer, right? That's why it's called a physical layer. The next layer, layer 2 of the OSI model, is the data link layer. That's the Diddy. So we're at P Diddy. Diddy D responds to the data link layer. Now, just like we got the physical layer where all the physical devices are connected, the data link layer is the media in which these devices are connected. Like the cables connecting them usually will display a link light. That's like a light on the device to let you know that there's connectivity. So the data link layer displays connectivity between everything. And it it doesn't use IP addresses to communicate. It uses MAC addresses because MAC addresses, they're all so far they're on a LAN, a local area network. So at this layer, there's no internet, right? So the way to communicate is through MAC address, which brings us to the third layer. Needs. P Diddy needs, which is layer 3. The N is the network layer. Now this is the layer where you kind of bring in all types of things. If you're troubleshooting, because I've only worked at maybe the first 3 or 4 layers, but the network encompasses network problems, IP addressing issues, misconfigurations, protocol issues. This is the layer where you get more issues, right? Whereas the data link layer, since they're only dealing with MAC addresses and connectivity, then the issues can only be but so much. So it's easier to troubleshoot at the layer 2 layer, which is when you're troubleshooting and you know the OSI model, you can kind of determine which layer you need to troubleshoot or which layer has the issue that you're trying to resolve. So with the data link layer, you might have physical issues with the cables, connectivity, misconfigurations, stuff like that, MAC addresses or whatever. But when you involve the network layer, now you're bringing in IP addressing issues, protocol misconfiguration issues, um, DNS issues, that's domain names. That's when you bring in a whole host of other issues to troubleshoot. So it makes it a little harder to troubleshoot there's a lot more at stake, a lot more involved at the network layer. Okay, in layer 4, right? So now we're at P. Diddy needs to the transport layer. Now, I'm not too familiar with how the rest of these layers work because, like I said, I've only worked at from layers 1 to 3. So layer 4 is the transport layer, and this is the layer that it transfer. I guess it transfers uh, data across the network, right? If that's the thing that I could say. Um, it transfers, let's say, elements between data transmissions from end to end, right? I don't really know how to detail it, but um, you'll get factors in the transport layer such as like data packet sizes, factors like sequences or sequencing speeds, destination, stuff like that. The next part, okay, where P. Diddy needs to stop, meaning now we're at layer 5. The S is for session. We're at the session layer. And at this layer, it's responsible for creating sessions or connections that allow two devices to communicate and the servers to one another. And I guess it formulates the data sessions at this layer, right? So in addition to setting up a session, the resulting connection uh, between the machine and what it manages and terminates the sessions between these two devices. And I'm trying to use layman's terms. All right. So that again was layer 5, the session layer. The next layer, uh, producing. P. Diddy needs to stop producing. P is layer 6, the presentation layer. And this layer is responsible for syntax processing, right? The syntax typically involves converting data from the top layer to uh to the pre to let me think. It formats. It gives it presents it in a format so that the other devices can read it. As far as an application, if that makes sense. If I'm even saying it right. All right. The presentation layer transmit data from a network format to depending on the data that's being transmitted or received, the processed data is passed to or presented at the session layer or application layer. Okay, so that brings us to our last layer, which is the application layer, layer 7. Albums. P. Diddy needs to stop producing albums. All right, and what the application layer is the top of the OSI model, because we started from the bottom up, from layer 1 up to layer 7. And what the application layer does is it delivers network services that comply to the end-to-end user, right? Whatever that means. Um, I'm trying to think of a layman's term that I could give you. But layer 7 applications includes web browsers and Google Chrome and Firefox, Outlook, Skype, things like that. But what it does is these services provide each of these applications. It allows them to supply and receive data from the presentation layer. So there you have it. There's all 7 layers of the OSI model. P. Diddy needs to stop producing albums. All right. So if that's a better acronym, more relevant to what's going on today. So I hope that helps you remember You know, this was a short one. So, um, once again, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll continue to bring you more tidbits and educational information about networking. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.